Hi, my name is Delaney Zuver, and I'm a senior at Bryan High School. I've grown up here in this small town for my entire life, and I've always wanted to leave it behind me. Until now. When you're a senior like me, change is imminent, and I'm ready for it. But I'm starting to realize that there are so many things I'm going to miss about high school. The events, the teachers, and most importantly, the people. These people that I've grown up with, laughed with, cried with. These people that have seen me on some of my best days and some of my worst days, whether or not they knew it. These people that are all on the verge of doing something great. This is my love letter to you all. This is Senioritis. Podcast to be like a time capsule, to be like something that we could all look back on when we wanted to remember something or somebody. I want it to be something where we can remember that pride we felt, or at least that I feel when I think about my class, the class of 2017. So for the first episode of this podcast, I thought it could just be a get to know you, a place to get our footing to dive right in, kind of like a first day of school. I interviewed people within our senior class and some people looking in from the outside. Throughout all of my interviews, I kept hearing one word: diverse. No matter what, our topic of conversation always circled back around to this defining quality of our senior class. I asked Colt Arthur, Student Council Class President, to describe our class in one word.
What instantly comes to mind is diverse. I think just the sheer number of different people in our grade, everybody from the jocks to the so-called nerds to, there's just so many different people, which I think is really, it's neat about our class, because not every single class is like that. A lot of classes, they have like an identity, who they are, whatever, maybe good or bad. And I think for us, it's hard to find an identity, because there's so many smart people, but then there's so many people who you just they don't get anything. Then you have the people who are good at sports, and then you have the artistic people and the people who do musicals, and so I think being a very diverse class is very cool, and it's been really fun to be a part of. Like in a lot of other classes, you may have like one or two kids that are very artistic, or a couple who are really, really musically inclined. But I think our class, it's not just a couple. There's groups, and there's a ton of people who are very musically inclined or very artistic. I know like 3 or 4 people in our class alone are just making unbelievable pottery with Mr. Knott.
Yeah.
And they've done it all 4 years.
Definitely.
Clayton Farrell comes to mind, and he's just so good at what he's doing.
I asked sophomore Carolyn Rickner to describe the class in one word, and she said,
positive.
Why do you say that?
I say that because when I was a freshman at the high school, all the juniors were always really, really nice to me, and they just made high school seem like it was really fun, and especially in theater, I got to know a lot of people from the junior class, and I just thought that they were all really happy and excited to be there kind of people. There's just so many talented people in the class of 2017 too. There's in all of the aspects of the school, in the arts and in sports and everything. They're just they're always really, and I think that they're so talented because they are so excited and so positive and happy to be there and doing what they're doing.
When you have a class that's diverse, different characters and different roles are formed within it. I asked a couple of the seniors that I interviewed who they thought filled these different roles within their class. Best student?
Natalie Meyer.
Josh Webb.
Shyest?
Josh Fonseca.
Isabella Schwartz.
She was in St. Pat's with me. She is a hysterical human being.
Yeah.
If you ever just try to like open her curtains and get inside her life a little bit, she's absolutely hysterical.
Yeah.
Biggest transformation.
What about Emily?
Emily
Knight.
And finally, class clown.
Probably Clayton
Yeah,
Farrell.
Clayton.
This answer seemed almost unanimous with every senior that I asked. Clayton Farrell and his antics just kept popping up.
Okay, so we were gonna make waffles in the lunchroom, but then
We didn't
Why?
get
But
approved.
why? Like, why were you gonna do that?
Just,
We just-
to have a waffle
yeah, just
day.
to do it. But we didn't get it approved, so we made. Okay, we
So
were gonna
we-
make waffles in the art room, but the waffle machine was being weird, so we started making pancakes. Right?
Yeah.
Or did we had waffles? I don't.
We
remember.
had waffles, but they were not turning out. We made pancakes.
Yeah.
And then, like, halfway through, me and Brittany were like, okay, like, we're about to get in trouble, like, let's go. So we took our pancakes back down to the cafeteria.
And
And
then
what happened?
Mr. Rary came down. Actually, I passed him in the hall with my pancakes,
It was
but
so
like
funny.
they were hiding behind my book, so we couldn't see them. But he went into the art room, and I guess they got in trouble. And then Clayton got a detention, which was really funny because on his detention slip it said like, got a detention for making waffles in the art room. Sticky hand.
Sticky hands.
Oh my god.
They're
That
all
was so
over
funny.
the old school. There's probably still some.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like on the ceiling.
There
and
were so
stuff.
many in the study hall room.
What
on the
happened?
ceiling.
Can you give an explanation
brought
of that
them
too?
in?
I think it was Blake. Blake Harwell.
He was just giving them out. Wasn't he like selling them to
Yeah.
underclassmen?
Yeah. For like $1.
It got out of hand.
So he just brought a bunch in and just was like, "Here, take a sticky hand."
Yeah.
I think he
everybody."
found like a good deal on like Amazon or
Yeah.
something, so he just bought like a 50 pack. And it was just sticky hands.
Do you know
everywhere.
if anybody got in trouble for that?
Probably.
I think so. I think some of the teachers got salty about it.
Yeah. I think he bought some this year too and was handing them out.
Dude, there's
so
literally
did-
one on the ceiling.
Oh
right
yeah.
I turned and looked, and there was, in fact, a bright blue sticky hand stuck to the ceiling. Here's Colt again.
If I remember in football, Chris Whitler, when he was a junior, he put flour in Ryan Pekornik's football locker and like a whole bag, like covered everything he had.
Really?
And then that was like a big thing for like a day. And then Clayton Farrell came in and poured 2 bags of flour on Chris Whitler's stuff all over the place. And this is like a sophomore doing this to like a junior who played varsity. And Chris Whitler is a big guy. He doesn't care about authority. Like he has no. He doesn't care, and I think that's something that a class con has to have. Because
Yeah.
I think if you play inside the rules, you're just not as funny. And I think
Yeah.
that's what makes Clayton is just because he doesn't care. So.
Mrs. Arthur has been teaching for 20 years, but you didn't hear that from me. For a majority of her career, she's taught exclusively juniors and seniors, so she's become somewhat of an expert at noticing trends and qualities within senior classes. In her eyes, this fun-loving jokester quality isn't limited to 1 or 2 members of the class of 2017. When I asked her to sum the seniors up in one word, she said,
frisky.
In what context? In what definition of the word?
And what I think this senior class has a lot of kids with lively personalities, big personalities, fun personalities. Some tend to be a little more on the naughty side.
Okay.
Some are just more fun and whimsical, like Lainey Zuver. Some are spirited, like Logan Deal. I don't want to give like names of people who are on the the negative connotation of frisky, but it's an energetic class. I don't think they see things as like disrespectful or defiant. They do just see it as doing their own thing. Like you said, like being empowered to like make your own choices. Like I know my son, Colt Arthur, will say all the time, well, why do I have to do it that way? Well, that's just stupid. And it's just like a questioning of like why it has to be the way it's always been.
Seniors Brittany Saladin and Katie Mock agreed.
If there's a rule that we don't agree with, I feel like we'll do anything to like not really get around it, but like,
Sometimes.
I don't know. I remember sophomore year, we didn't like something that a teacher was doing, so we like persisted on changing it. I guess we're persistent on change.
Yeah. I agree with that.
And
we're outspoken.
We're stubborn in a good
about
way.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not afraid to like speak out against something we feel isn't right or should be changed.
Junior Allie Boyer has maintained a close relationship with many of the seniors in the class of 2017. She explained how she perceived this rebellious quality.
Just their ability to stand apart from the other classes and be different. They're not afraid to speak their minds. And there's a lot of people in the grade, or maybe just the whole grade, that they do what they think is right and they're not. They're very are independent, I would say. I see you guys as rebellious in a great way. Some people might see it in like a troublemaker way. I don't see it like that, but some people might.
This interview with Allie got me thinking, what are some other negative qualities about our senior class? I mean, it can't just be that we're rebellious in a good way. We want a full picture of what our class is and will always be remembered as, right? I asked sophomores Kate Grotehouse and Sloan Brown what they thought our negative qualities were. They had one thing to say.
Definitely biggest case of senioritis I've ever seen.
Yeah.
They are super lazy sometimes about things they're not passionate about, which is fine, spend your time how you want to spend it.
Well, I guess we picked the perfect name for this show.
It's more acceptable in your class, especially because you're seniors, to not try as hard.
Yeah, I totally know. Yeah, I definitely agree with that, which is totally okay.
Freshman Connor Arthur had something similar to say.
I think that school-wise and athletic-wise, sometimes I feel like kids in the senior class don't really care or try. And honestly, my senior year, I'm going to be trying my hardest because, college is, right there. And I feel like most of the kids in this senior class don't try. From, ones I can think of, don't try.
Now, as a senior, I couldn't help but laugh at this. We'll catch back up with you when you're a senior, Connor. Then we'll see how you feel. As freshmen, both Connor Arthur and Nate Miller have some interesting perspectives as to how underclassmen are perceived. And they said it was a lot different than what they were expecting. Again, in all of my interviews, I kept hearing about how this senior class was different because they valued underclassmen. So I decided to ask Nate and Connor just what they thought.
So do you feel like the seniors are particularly welcoming to underclassmen, to freshmen?
Yeah.
More so than you were expecting or have heard about in the past?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any more to say on that?
No.
Next, I asked them who they thought their favorite senior was. They were a little bit more excited to answer this question.
I wasn't going to say Cole anyway.
My favorite senior is Lucas Nye.
Why?
Because first off, I can relate to him because he's a meathead. And sometimes, even though I think I care about my grades, I am distinguished as a meathead. But I think Luke is just in general pretty good underclassman, and he's got a good sense of humor, but he still works hard to achieve his goals.
Connor?
My favorite senior is probably Josh Jones, because once you get to know Josh, he's just funny, just everybody sort of wants to be around that kid because he's just a positive, nice kid. He's nice to every underclassman.
Do you see some similarities between your class and the senior class?
Yes, I do.
In what way?
Like Nate said earlier, I think we're also very diverse, which I think is a good reason why our classes get along so well.
Even seniors can see the difference. Senior McKenna Schaefer has a lot of freshman friends.
Kids in the lower classmen, because I really feel like our school isn't separated by grades anymore.
when I was a freshman, I didn't speak to the seniors at all. I was terrified of them. Maybe it was because I came from tiny St. Pat's and now I was like here with these people that were 4 years older than me. But I think that our senior class is much different from the senior class we had coming in as freshmen, just because we're not as intimidating. I don't know if that's just me because now I'm a senior, but I see a lot more people being friends with the freshmen and hanging out with them and not necessarily just being like, oh, they're freshmen, I don't want to hang out with them, because I'm definitely friends with a lot of freshmen and I don't think they're bad.
Having a new school, I think, definitely did play a factor in how our relationships and bonds were formed between classes. When you come into a building that you know nothing about, it's kind of easy to feel like a freshman all over again. Brittany Saladin agreed with me.
Being in the new high school is just, I feel like a freshman because when we came in here, we didn't know where anything was.
As the first senior class in the new school, this year has been unforgettable. The perspectives are much different, and the memories and the way that we see our senior year has just been completely altered by this change of scenery. I asked seniors Katie Mock and Brittany Saladin just what they thought of this, because I knew they definitely had some opinions.
I know that you two, just because I know you quite personally, have some interesting feelings about the new building. How do you think that has impacted your senior year?
I think it's gonna make it easier to graduate because I'm not as connected emotionally to this building, which sounds silly, but at the same time, I really don't like it here just because I'm totally used to the old school, and it just had a better vibe. And when I was a freshman, I saw all the cool seniors in that building just doing senior stuff. I was like, oh, I can't wait till I'm a senior and it'll be so cool. But now it's just totally different because we're in a new building. I never actually imagined senior year in this school. I just always imagined being the old high school. I want to say grew up, but no. I want to say since we were in the old high school for 3 years, that will be our legacy. Just the feeling of the old high school and everything that went with it, that'll be left from our class. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. We spent the most time in it, so we carried it over here.
Yeah.
The way Katie said this got me thinking about what our other legacies were, what are we leaving behind, and what is this class when you boil it down to its very essence? I asked sophomores Kate Grothaus and Sloan Brown what they thought the class of 2017's legacy was going to be. This is what they had to say.
Well, you guys are the first senior class to graduate from the new school. So obviously you guys will always be remembered for that, even though, he doesn't do anything besides be here.
Move in here, yeah.
Yeah, but you guys as a whole,
I know you've kind of touched on some things here and there,
Yeah.
but maybe just summing it all up.
I feel like maybe setting the stage for the classes to come into the new school, because like Kate said, you guys are the first class in the new school, so I feel like that's setting the stage for how everyone else is going to act and work around here. And I also feel like, again, like we said, with the artists or
I was just gonna say that.
the artists or the music people or the sports people, I feel like you all are so passionate about what you do that it just leaves this legacy. They'll always remember, they'll see your artwork in the school and remember how good you were or how passionate you were, or they'll remember the sports players and their last game or the game against Archibald their junior year. I feel like there's just little things throughout here and there that I feel like it all just revolves around your guys' passion for what you do. And I feel like that'll leave a legacy and just a framework for how the other kids coming into the new school, when they see the stuff you left behind, that's what they're going to look up to and work for, I guess.
We're gonna be losing some of our best artists in like Bryan High School history.
But yet their art's gonna stay, and the kids that are coming in are gonna see it and want to.
That's gonna be our motivation. So I feel like, you know, they had their own legacy too, but you guys are leaving behind a legacy that people are motivated for, that people wanna be better than, but it's gonna be super hard. You know, there's just so many people who have made history in this class and made a mark on this school. And I was just thinking that you guys really left a legacy of, like she said, passion, but really doing what you guys want to be passionate about.
We are a class that's guided by passion. I mean, we are always pushing limits, and maybe it has something to do with our diversity, or maybe it's that rebellious quality that Mrs. Arthur sees within our class. But at the end of the day, maybe it's just the choices we make. And maybe all we can do is hope for the best, that those choices leave a positive legacy for younger generations. Here's Colt.
So I think it shows that, like, it doesn't matter who you associate with or what you do or where you come from. Like, you can do anything you want in high school, and you can be successful at it. You know, I mean, I had never picked up a tennis racket, and then one summer I took 2 lessons, went out for the team, and I had a great year. I had a great time. So, and I think there's a lot of stories like that. Blues quitting football and then going to be an all-league in soccer. I mean, you can do whatever you want to do. And so I think for the freshmen and sophomores and incoming 8th graders, don't be so stuck on playing just a sport, or just being this, and try new things, because we've proven time and time again that even if you are a junior or senior, it's never too late to try something. So.
Mr. Neff, and Mrs. Rocky for helping me out during this long, exhausting process. Seriously, this took forever, and they never got upset with me. Not even once. Thank you also to everyone I interviewed for this episode: Colt Arthur, Carolyn Rickner, McKenna Schaefer, Kate Grothaus, Sloan Brown, Allie Boyer, Caitlin Mock, Brittany Saladin, Mrs. Arthur, Logan Deal, Connor Arthur, and Nate Miller. And thank you for listening. I hope to have another episode soon. If you have any suggestions for an episode topic, email me at 17dzuver@bryanschools.net, or just stop me in the halls. I'm attempting to interview Mr. Kuhn with little success. If you spread the love and tell him how great this podcast is, maybe he'll oblige. We'll see. Until next time, I'm Delaney Zuber, and this has been Senioritis.